evening, everyone. Call to order the caucus meeting of the Englewood Cliffs Mayor and Council. Now 6:30 p.m. on February 8, 2017. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Mayor Kranjak,
Here.
Councilperson Zaversa, Park, O, McMorrow,
Here.
M. Park,
Here.
Wu,
Here.
Borough Attorney,
Present.
Superintendent of DPW, Borough Engineer,
Here.
and Borough Clerk.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please read the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting was given to the press and posted as required. Date and time of this meeting was legally given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. This notice is on file with the municipal clerk and posted on the bulletin board. Minutes of this meeting will be made available to the public upon the completion of typing and proofreading by the municipal clerk.
Thank you. Do you have a motion to open the meeting up to the public for comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
If there's anyone from the public who wishes to be heard, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address. And be heard.
Please first.
Good evening, everybody. Jerry Miss, 1 Sanford Drive. I understand we have on the agenda today the report from the borough engineer regarding Whitty Field. I was wondering if it's possible to get a copy to review so that we may have some intelligent comments at the time of the meeting.
The process that we are going to undertake is to discuss it in, I guess, in closed session. Is that right? Out here? Okay. And then we'll have a special meeting just for that purpose. We don't have any extra copies.
And I can share it over here, as long as you promise to share it back. What? And I need it back.
That's fine. Then. You can take that.
You're welcome. Jerry, at the end of this meeting, we're going to come up with a special meeting date. We're going to put this as a PDF on the borough website, and then everybody can view it. Okay. I wrote Alan Park for the record.
Yes. Mayor,
And that's just like,
Yes.
I'm Mary O'Shea, 12 Irving Avenue. Not on. And on the way here tonight, I heard the Port Authority Police stopped 2 suicides on the bridge this morning, 15 minutes apart. One 56-year-old man on the by the New York Tower, and 15 minutes later, a woman on the other side. And I remember one time you had sent a letter to somebody about supporting a suicide prevention fence on the bridge, and maybe that was something that we could revisit.
Okay. We'll reiterate that.
Thank you.
Just send me a draft of that, and I'll revise it a bit. Thank you. Please let the record reflect that Councilwoman Ho has arrived. It's 6:36. Anybody else wishing to be heard?
Dave DiGregorio, 165 Charlotte Place. Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone is having a nice evening, pre-snow. It's a profit-minded press, private industry profit-minded press that likes to hype this news to gain ratings and to then gain profits on the bottom line. That affects all of us.
With all due respect to the press present.
No, I wish it were.
Good report tomorrow on the weather.
And it's no offense against the press. I'm just looking for a not-for-profit press that would be devoted to, as it is in Europe, many places, Europeans, specifically in Germany, pay a tax on their television set. That is a generous support for the media, and the media is charged to enlighten and inform, and they're less dependent on how many papers they sell. They're less dependent on how much viewership they have, and that gives more stability and job security to reporters and affects the public in amazingly good ways. We have a much more informed public as a result. And I absolutely mean no offense whatsoever against the press. at all.
So you're an NPR and a PBS fan?
I am not, because NPR, I would equate as very inferior compared to ZDF in Germany and ARD in Germany. Those are two main public, and over 51% of the public watches the public television in Germany. I can speak to that because I am also a citizen of Germany. So, moving on.
You're what of Germany?
I'm a citizen. I have dual citizenship.
Okay.
So I can speak to that. I live there 1 month a year. In addition, my comment is, first of all, I'm concerned about the size of houses as compared to the size of property, and maybe the borough engineer can speak to that. If we have any ordinances that might limit that size, and a little bit of the history is how can it used to be, it seems, the size of the house in relation to the property was smaller, and now it's much larger. Did anything change?
Your coordination is great, because you have a question for the engineer who's here tonight.
Okay.
If you know the answer, answer it. If you don't know, then we'll research it with you.
Yeah, there's some philosophy behind this. It goes back, if you go through the 70s into the 80s, in the planning world, and I'm a planner also, in the planning world, people built houses basically or met their income level.
Mhm.
And as we got through the mid-90s into the early 2000s, income levels have gone up significantly, and people are building houses to the size of their income. Zoning regulations are what they are. There's a front yard, a side yard, another side yard, and a rear yard. And what happens is when your income allows you, you maximize the use of that buildable area. The only way towns can control that is to limit height or limit front, rear, and side yard setbacks. There's been towns that have tried to limit, like, volume of a house.
Mhm.
It's almost impossible to do because people find ways around it. It becomes very controversial if this body would sit here and say, well, we want to have a front yard setback of 80 feet, and a rear yard setback of 60 feet, and the house want to be 20 feet wide. In the side yard, you want a 20 by 40 house, like back in the old days. You probably had people that lined up outside complaining that they own the property, they should be able to build on it, and probably have a lot of variances. As time has gone by through the 90s and 80s, the boards evaluate what kind of variances they give out for front, rear, side, height, and they kind of look at that every year to find out if their regulations are meeting the current society. So this has been an ongoing debate. My whole career that I've done this.
What is the present Englewood Cliffs coverage ratio?
So it varies from zone to zone. Every zone's different from your R15 to your whatever it may be. Your regulations are okay. If you changed them and tightened them up, people are just going to build a bigger house inside the limits they can. That's your problem, because they can afford to do it here. And, we go more west here, people build smaller houses, because that's where they live out west, because they can't afford bigger houses. That's
Sure.
really the problem.
Okay.
And this is about a lot of communities that fight this battle right now.
The second question, I have actually two questions, and I don't want to take up too much time here, but the quality of the construction, number one, and I would imagine also that the larger the house, you're going to have more runoff, and the sewers are going to have to be built more adequately to accommodate all the extra water. Do we find any?
We actually, Englewood Cliffs does a very good job. No matter what you build, when you build a pervious area, if you increase it, you have to retain it on your site. So it doesn't impact our sewers at all.
Oh, it does not?
No,
Okay, so that's part of the
We cover that here. This
Okay,
town's
good.
done a very good job of covering it.
Oh, that's very good. One of the main concerns I have is the quality of construction, and I don't mean to cite European countries, but and I will in this case, because it seems like the cement construction that you find in the European countries really kind of, when you see a house go up in this town, and especially what mainly concerns me is the use of wooden trusses, and I think that concerns the fire department also. If there's a living being in the house, the truss will burn just as quickly and the house will collapse, so to save that living being is much more of a danger. Does Englewood Cliffs have any special codes where they need to use, where they're required to use steel beams as opposed to wood trusses?
I can answer that. So
Yeah.
that's a very sticky issue, and because every town is governed by the building codes. The building codes come down through DCA and also come down to the federal government, to your local DCA, Department of Community Affairs from New Jersey, and they dictate it to you. Every town has to follow those codes, and the state set it up that way so your building department is removed from your politics in your town. So the building official actually reports to the DCA. He or she may report to the mayor and council just for purposes of letting know what's going on. He takes his codes from the building codes, which are set by the state, so as far as wood trusses, the state allows them, we can't prevent them.
So there's no override in the local community?
Override DCA.
And the DCA is what?
The Department of Community Affairs, which oversees the building codes that New Jersey adopts, which is, right now is the international building code.
Okay.
They're talking about changing it next year.
Okay,
And they're talking about making improvements for fire and for sprinklers and things like that.
okay.
That's the big change.
All right, well, thank
A lot
you.
because of the edge works.
Yes, of course, and that's I think should stand as a prime example.
It is.
And I think that the firefighters union has also come out against, strongly against the wood trusses, and I think that there's something, we should, as a community, support that. I also, Mary O'Shea had mentioned something about the George Washington Bridge. I think that, having lost a relative, to a suicide, that I would like to echo that once again. If anything, this town can do anything, with the Port Authority to voice its concern, to make that area less accessible for those that want to take their own lives, that would be a good thing. So thank you very much, and, thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to be heard? After the regular meeting? Okay. Okay, I don't see anyone else, so can I have a motion to come out of the public portion? Close the public. Okay, to have a motion to go into...
Mayor, I just want to point out that Councilman Aversa arrived at 6:40.
Okay. Welcome. So can I have a motion to go into closed session, please? All in favor, and a second? All in favor? Madam Clerk, would you please read what you need to read for us to go into closed session?
Resolution 1743, whereas NJSA 10:4-12 allows for a public body to go into closed session during a public meeting, and whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs have deemed it necessary to go into closed session to discuss certain meetings which are exempted from the public. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs will go into closed session for the following reasons as outlined in NJSA 10:4-12. Personnel, Recreation Director, Personnel, Borough Administrator, and Litigation Tax Appeals.
Thank you.
They are good.
Can I have a motion? Can I have a motion to come out of closed session?
And note for the record that during part of the closed session with respect to the business administrator part, Ms. Duffy was having to come out of the room, and I took the minutes for that portion.
Okay, we have one very important piece of business to do here, and I'll defer to Council President McMorrow.
Okay, I just would like to, Richard, if you can stand up and compare to. This is Richard Casey, everyone. He's on our agenda tonight we're going to be voting on him for a full-time recreation director. So I just wanted to introduce him to the public. Thank you, Richard, for coming tonight.
Richard, thank you very much for coming tonight, and welcome to our caucus meeting, and I hope you could stay for the regular meeting. Okay. Is there anything else on the caucus agenda that we should discuss, or should we just wait till the regular meeting?
If I could just update the council, I know we talked about it briefly at our, at the budget meeting. So, I think, Andy, at this point, you'll just wait till the regular meeting to go through. There's no sense to start and then have you stop, but make it easier. Huh? Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right, okay. Under new business, just something else that Andy is going to be touching on, Councilman Wu, the mayor, myself, the chief of police, Lieutenant Hill, and Captain Regan did a walkthrough of the police building a couple of weeks ago.
Mark Neville, too.
Oh, sorry, and Superintendent Mark Neville, yes. And that started because they were looking at the police lockers, and we needed to have some ideas on how it would be best served from the engineer's standpoint to serve the police needs. So from that, and I'm going to let Andy address this, maybe should we leave that for regular also? Leave that for there, okay. He's going to be speaking about what he observed and what his ideas are on how it's going to be best to address some of the issues going on within the police department building. So that's why you see under new business, police building, borough engineer, okay? The next thing, since Andy's here tonight, is the assessment ordinance regarding 5th Street. And I was going to ask the council if they would authorize Andy to work on an assessment ordinance for 5th Street. Oh, sorry, yes. Council.
We're not talking about it now.
We're not going to talk about it now, but we will be, okay.
The regular meeting.
Okay.
You just have to step from the dais, you don't have to.
Yeah, thank you, Gloria. We know that there's some, there's a situation on 5th Street that needs to be addressed, and we'll talk about it later, or the borough engineer will, but we would have to authorize him to work on an assessment ordinance for 5th Street. And the last thing that I just wanted to speak on was, during the budget process, we talked about the B3 zone and the need to have the planning board look at the B3 zone and the master plan for the B3 zone. So we would have to, we would make a motion tonight authorizing the planning board to look at the B3 zone and the master plan regarding the B3 zone. We have to do that by motion, and we talked about it at the budget, and that's why it's on the agenda. And that's what my update is. And if anybody has any questions, feel free.
Look at the B3 zone, what do you mean by look at it?
So there's a B3 zone in town. Yeah, Andy, would you, that'd be a lot easier.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, is this thing on? The B3 zone is an area of town which is a little bit tired. And in the B3 zone, a mayor and council can authorize your planning board to set up a committee utilizing the planner for the planning board to look at the zone and see if you could enact any changes in zoning, whether it be setbacks or heights or uses or multi-use or whatever it may be, to try to invigorate or create that zone to give it a little more life. You have a number of buildings down there, either old, tired, or abandoned, and it gives that board, which is the board that has the expertise for it, and the planner, some leeway to look at it, make a recommendation back to this value. You could look at it and decide whether you want to send it back to them with other recommendations. You could look at it and adopt it. You could look at it and ask for an ordinance to be written. It kind of gives you some flexibility to make decisions once it's looked at by their committee. And that doesn't bind you to do anything, it just, it starts the conversation.
We have to give them the authorization to do
Right,
it,
you have to
because
ask
we
them
put the
to
money in the budget.
It's your money, so.
Geographically speaking, it's the most southern part, so.
Right.
Yeah, south,
The
south
boarded up
Bay.
buildings, there's a lot of boarded up buildings.
We find out that the consultant was ever paid for that? Remember I had said...
I know, that was
I did, I asked Mark Neville, and he doesn't recall, and I was going to send everyone an email. I asked Janice, and she wanted to, first she asked me, was he paid one large sum? And I didn't know that answer.
I don't.
So,
Two sums?
again, I'm going on, remembering.
Right. So Mark had nothing on it, and Janice is researching it.
So either way, we'll figure it out before that, yeah. Thank you. It'd be great, absolutely, have credit.
I don't remember seeing any results.
No, I didn't.
I do remember,
Being in the line,
yeah,
I remember
whether we actually physically went to check or not.
And not, yeah.
So I think everything else will move to a regular meeting,
Okay.
and, get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay.
Aye.
You can leave this table here and share it.
Oh, because he's gonna be.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm okay here if you...
Are you putting a board out or anything?
No, I haven't been, like,